Hello friends, I'm Jonathan Carmichael. I'm a Quaker from Watford Meeting in Hertfordshire in the east of England, and I'm the Simpler Meetings project manager for Britain Yearly Meeting. This talk is about ways that meetings around Britain have found to make life simpler and easier for trustees and treasurers, so that there's more time and energy for being Quakers rather than only doing Quakers. We'll start with ideas for area meeting trustees, and then we'll look at managing properties, and then think about treasurers. I'll pick out some ways that can save you time, frustration, energy, or make the role easier to do, and can help solve the difficult problem that no one wants to take on a particular role. So first, area meeting trustees. The relationship between the area meeting and its trustees needs to work smoothly to avoid lots of duplication and frustrations. You need a common understanding of which decisions are to be made by the area meeting in session and which decisions are right for the trustees to make. It can really help to write this down and then get it out from time to time so that everyone's clear. Sometimes, of course, issues do need to move back and forth, particularly for some consultation. But they don't need to keep moving back and forth again and again and again, or one body continually redoing the discernment over the other body. When we appoint trustees, we ask them to take certain responsibilities for the area and to discern some aspects for us. We need to trust our trustees, and good communication really helps this trust. Another key relationship is between the clerk of trustees and the clerk of the area meeting. Do they get on well? Do they talk often? Do they have the same view about which decisions are taken where? Spending a bit of time working on this relationship can really help things to run smoothly and avoid the bumps that can make life far from simple. Now, like any organisation, like any meeting, it's really important to prioritise which things are important to spend time on and which are less important and all can be dealt with differently. Quite a few Quaker trustee bodies use subgroups to spread the load. They might have three, perhaps finance, property and policy and people, or another combination. And then each trustee doesn't have to think in detail about all of the issues. They can rely on their colleagues to go into the detail on a topic, while the higher level decisions come to the whole trustee body for discernment. Some decisions can be delegated to a subgroup to take, perhaps for smaller levels of spending or certain types of item. They can be delegated completely to the subgroup or be confirmed at the full trustees meeting. And on these subgroups, some area meetings involve non-trustees. For example, they might have a human resources professional who's happy to share some of their expertise sitting on the people and policies subgroup. They can contribute without taking on being the whole of the trustee's role. Involving non-trustees can make a better use of the skills available and the people and be inclusive. It can also draw in people who go on to become trustees. Another way of reducing time for trustees is having online meetings like with Zoom. This can save a lot of travel time. It can lead to shorter meetings or let you have meetings when you need them. It also reduces our carbon footprint. It lets people join in who would have otherwise been prevented or who would just say no. This won't replace all face-to-face meetings, but you might say use it for every other meeting. Policies for area meetings is a place where we seem to be reinventing the wheel quite a bit. We've gathered some model policies and some examples on the Britain Yearly Meeting website. Search for the Area Meeting Trustees page. Some area meetings are exploring doing things together with another area. This is going to be covered in another topic in this Simpler Meeting series. And here's another aspect. We already pay people to do some tasks for us. We have paid wardens, cleaners, someone to fix the boiler or clear the gutters. Can we pay people for some other functions too? Which tasks could other people do so that Quakers can spend more time doing what only Quakers can do? Some area meetings have a part-time administrator. This might be very part-time, say 10 hours a month. So it's not a big outlay. An administrator could deal with membership records and transfers, keeping the contact list up to date, GDPR, gift aid processing, arranging insurance, things that otherwise could land on the area meeting clerk or the treasurer or the clerk of trustees. In some areas, this kind of area admin is handled by extending the role of one warden. Some meetings pay someone to manage meeting house lettings or a lettings agent for investment properties. I'll talk about paid bookkeepers in a little while when we talk about treasurers. There are already paid youth workers in 2 of our regions. Some meetings have a paid children's worker for a Sunday. Of course, the largest group of staff are wardens. Britain Nearly Meeting has a whole set of resources for employers on our website. Search for Employers Resource. There are standard policies there that area meetings can adopt, standard terms and conditions for employees, and guidance on a range of topics. Using reliable policies and procedures that are kept up to date can save a great deal of time and effort. And people don't have to be employees. Some could be independent contractors, which can reduce trustees' work for some roles. Let's now think about some ideas for property management. If you ask friends what tends to take up the most time and energy, and what are some of the biggest burdens, very often the answer is our properties. Some of them do generate very useful income for us, or they serve us very well, or in a good location, while some are absorbing our money and draining our time and energy. They may not be fulfilling the purpose that we actually need. So getting the balance right is really important. We need to be strategic about which buildings serve our purpose really well and which really don't. Less could be more. And I have to say this, in all my work on simplifying, the biggest way of reducing the burden on roll holders is to have fewer meeting houses. There's less work for treasurers, there's fewer issues for trustees, no premises committee, no warden to manage, fewer items for each local business meeting. It can liberate energy for other aspects of our Quaker lives. With 30% of British local meetings not having a meeting house to look after, and with much of the growth in our Quaker meetings coming where there aren't meeting houses, we do need to look at this seriously. In another session in this series, we'll look at ways that meetings can thrive without a meeting house. For the 70% of meetings which currently do have meeting houses, there are many ways to make life easier too. A good place to start is the property advice page on the BYM website. You can search for property. There you'll find the property guidance sheets that cover many useful topics. There's also the Meeting House Handbook template with useful information set out in a way that each meeting house can use. You can also join the property advice email group there and get advice from Quakers all around Britain. A bit closer to home, meetings can share which tradespeople they use. Some area meetings do this on a whole area basis. The same electrician inspects all the properties, or the same company does the fire prevention. This doesn't always work for every kind of trade, and geography may prevent it. You probably want a local plumber. But it can save meetings time and trouble, and avoid some aspects being neglected. Some area meetings are using a property management service, relieving friends of tasks which can be quite a burden. A really good example is the way that Norfolk and Waveney area meeting work with the Church's Conservation Trust. This is a specialist organisation. Historic buildings are their thing. Each meeting house gets an annual visit with a series of checks, and some planned maintenance gets done, like gutters and drains and things like that. They have a good discussion with the premises committee about further pieces of work that might need to be done, and they can take on projects for the meeting. They have a pool of reliable tradespeople that they work with. Their team is really focused on historic buildings and faith communities. And the reports from Norfolk and Waveney are very positive. They are sure that the work gets done to protect their buildings, and friends don't have to spend as much time and energy working out what to do. They found that the cost of the service is often recouped by getting better prices for the work that the trust staff then oversee. On the income side, It can be really fruitful if we work together to increase the income from certain meeting houses in an area where there's more potential. This could pay for support for the others or cover some of the costs of support across the area that can reduce the volunteers' workload. Let's move on to simpler ways for treasurers. When the role of treasurer becomes a burden or really hard to fill, it can help to work out which tasks can be done by someone else. At the Trustees and Treasurers Conference in 2019, we came up with these two lists. On the left are things that the treasurer needs to do. On the right are things that don't have to be done by the treasurer. These can be delegated to a volunteer or somebody paid. This approach changes the role of the treasurer from being somebody who has to do everything. Instead, the treasurer can focus on what the financial information is telling us, on the decisions that are needed, and running the finances well. It's often easier to find a treasurer when they do not have to be the bookkeeper as well. And sharing out the tasks can make things easier for a local treasurer too. When I surveyed the area meeting treasurers in 2019, this revealed lots of ways to reduce the load on treasurers. I discovered that in 1 in 6 local meetings in Britain, there is a paid bookkeeper. And it's not just the big meetings. Some also have volunteers who do the bookkeeping for the area or for other local meetings. In 10% of area meetings, all the local meetings use a paid bookkeeper. And 20% of area meetings use a paid bookkeeper for all their area level transactions. Other processes can have people being paid like accounts examining or payroll or pensions, financial contributions to the meeting or gift aid. And I talked earlier about trustees delegating some decisions. This can also work at local meeting level with clear budgets delegated to a committee or a person, so everything doesn't have to come back to the treasurer. Sometimes it is simpler to delegate smaller decisions to the local treasurer within some limits. Some few other ways. Reducing the handling of cash can really help, with fewer times that you have to go take the cash to the bank. Electronic banking has grown greatly in the last few years, and particularly in the pandemic. You can still have dual sign-off of payments, just like having 2 signatures on a cheque. One treasurer explained how electronic banking allows the local treasurer, the area meeting treasurer, a bookkeeper and the accountant to all see the same information and how much time and effort that saved them. Quite a few area meetings are now using online accounting packages, which the local treasurer uses or a bookkeeper uses, or a combination. It can take time and effort to establish, but quite a few treasurers told me how it can save a lot of time and energy, clarifying things, chasing up details, reconciling, and particularly things at the year end. I've also heard a lot of enthusiasm for having a single current account across the area meeting, all the transactions going through the same system, while each local meeting still has their budgets that they spend from. On the other hand, a dozen local meetings have cut out having to produce their own set of accounts altogether. Instead, the few transactions that they do have sit in another meeting's accounts or in the area's accounts. And some meetings don't use money at all. They make donations straight to the area meeting, and the area meeting pays their rented room and the occasional bill. Several treasurers spoke enthusiastically about how it can really help to meet together as a group of treasurers in the area from time to time. Maybe once a year or every 6 months, over some cake and some coffee, and informally talk over issues that are common to the group. This can smooth things out a lot and save some time. You can seek advice from other treasurers via the area meeting treasurers email group and from the treasurers guidance sheets. Again, you'll find both of those on the treasurers page on the BYM website. I hope this talk gives you some ideas you could use in your meeting or discuss in your area. They can help reduce the workload and the pressure on trustees and treasurers, to free up time spent on doing Quakers, to have more time for being Quakers. Thank you.